Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining for another episode of Business Development Guru. And today we're going to set up our environment. Today we're going to set up our environment so that we're able to connect our companies to sam.gov. Hold on, I'm getting a little bit of an echo. 1 second. Okay, testing. Still getting that echo. Okay. I think if I move this further back, I won't get an echo. Hey, we got somebody viewing. Thank you for joining. And hopefully all the watchers, you guys have been following along to the previous episodes. So the whole point of today is to set up our account so that we're able to become federal vendors and also become state vendors. I always say there's two different levels of there's three different arenas of contracting. There's international, there's federal, and then there's state. And when we say state, we mean everything from your state, your government's department, all the way down to like your local school district or even your library. So the purpose of today is to make sure that we set everything up properly and that we know how to become a state vendor, because there's a difference between being cleared to do business in the geographical boundaries of the United States and then doing business with the United States government as a customer. And that's what we want to be eventually. We want to sell our products and services to the United States government. So I'll wait for a little bit more people to join. Let me make sure my make sure my IG is connected. All right, my IG is connected. I just need to make sure that I'm actually on there. Give me a quick second, y'all. And again, shout out to everybody that's watching. We're gonna get some good stuff accomplished today. The goal is 30 minutes or less. And this is part one. Part two, once you have your account set up, then we'll actually go in and we will connect our companies and apply in sam.gov. sam.gov stands for system. SAM stands for System Awards Management. And it's the database that you have to be in if you want to be a client for the United States government. And then the other database you have to be in depends on the state that you're in. Today, we're using California State. As an example, we're going to see what's needed to set up an account with California Department of General Services so you can be a state vendor. And then, depending on the state that you're in, some states require that you also register with the county and that you also register with the city or whatever is the lowest municipality that's needed for you to conduct business. So we're stopping at the federal and state level. We're not going to go down to the lower levels. If you have any question about what the lower levels need to do, go ahead and get at me. t.tor@yesrts.com. Everybody know me. I'm Palm Beach Pete. I'm playing. Just reach out to me because I do love this stuff. It is a passion of mine, and helping small businesses thrive in the space is what it's all about. All right, let me make sure everything's set up right. Ooh, got to make sure that I'm broadcasting on my personal page on Facebook. All right, we are good to go. All right, so a lot of registration on the federal side, let's take federal side first, has to do with system award management. And you'll see that there's like a recurrent trend when you're doing all these registrations. You'll create a user account. And once you create a user account, you'll go into user account and you'll associate a company with your user account tenant. So on the federal side, we have to set up a user account for system awards management. Now, what I recommend before you set up your user account with system award management, I recommend that you go and get a professional email handle. What do I mean when I say professional email handle? I mean your first name dot last name at professional company name, your web page URL. So for instance, the name of my company is Artius, Artius. At the time when I was getting a domain name, I could not get artius.com because they was charging like, I think like 11,000, 9,000 to 11,000 for it. I think it's like 15,000 right now if you want to buy that domain. So no problem. I'm not going to drop 9,000, 15,000 on buying a domain. I'm just going to improvise. So we decided to make my domain name YESRTS.com. So once I created that domain name and associated an email with that domain name, t.tor@YESRTS, I then went and created a user account in sam.gov. So we're going to kind of go over those steps because I don't want to, I hate when people just give you knowledge without giving you like at least 80% practical application on how to accomplish those tasks. So first things first, we're going to look at getting a domain name, a professional domain name. And let's see, what scene is it going to be? There's a lot of different places you should go when you're getting domain name. But the first thing I recommend is that you guys get an account with Amazon Web Services. Where is that? So just go and type in Amazon Web Services online. Yep. And when you go to aws.amazon.com, they're going to ask you to fill out your regular email. So this is where it's okay to have a regular email. You can be theotor@gmail.com. You can be happy person at yahoo.com. You're going to set up your Amazon Web Services account. So as you can see in the screen, I'm setting up my Amazon Web Services account. What name did I use on this? My gmail@gmail.com. And then account name, that's going to be the name of your company. Now, if you've been watching the previous videos, you already know in the first session, we went ahead and got everybody, we showed you how to get an employer identification number. So if you've been following along and putting to practice what I've been teaching you, you should already have an employment identification number. Then in the next video, we went and learned how to register with the Secretary of State. So you should register an LLC with the Secretary of State. So you should already have an LLC in your state. So you have a company name, you have an LLC. Now you're creating an Amazon Web Services account so that you can get a domain name. And you can go with GoDaddy, but in my opinion, I'm an Amazon Web Services guy. It's easier for me later on down the road because one of the things that I do is I do websites for the purposes of government contracting. It's all under the business development umbrella, and there's more control, more granularity on designing your website if you go with like an Amazon Web Service resource than a GoDaddy resource. GoDaddy's going to beat you over the head later on, and if you run into problems, you're going to have to pay more to get in contact with tech and all that stuff. In my opinion, Amazon is just a whole lot easier. So we're creating our account. My company name. So you create your account, and Amazon is going to send you a verification email. You're going to go ahead and click that verification email. Then you're going to follow the steps where they have you put in your phone number, put in your address, and then they collect a credit card information because that's what they bill when you use resources from Amazon Web Services. Once you do that and get in Amazon Web Services, once you set up your account, you're going to choose one of two resources in Amazon Web Services. You're either going to choose Lightsail, and this is to get your domain name, or you're going to choose Route 53. Now, both of those resources give you the ability to find a domain name that works for you and then purchase that domain name. And again, I like using Amazon Web Services because it's easier later on down the road when you're designing your website and when you're it just gives you more control over your digital resources than a GoDaddy or another hosting company. So I like Lightsail, and I use Lightsail to get a domain name instead of Route 53. If you are not tech savvy, use Lightsail because Lightsail is fully managed services. So you see, I went ahead and chose Lightsail. And when I got into Lightsail, I go ahead and choose domains and DNS. And I got a domain name called ramadidays.com. And when I got ramadidays.com, because Lightsail is a fully managed resource, it went ahead and gave me what they call a domain name server, a hosted zone. For those of you that are tech savvy, know about cPanels, kind of like your cPanels, where you can manage all your records for your domain name servers. One of the things you'll learn when you're doing this is you got to make sure a computer from Amazon is talking to another computer from Microsoft, or talking to another computer, talking to another database at this other company. And again, Lightsail just makes it a whole lot easier. So I went ahead and got my ramadidays.com, and now I can go and set up a professional account in Microsoft Outlook and attach that ramadidays.com onto my Microsoft Outlook. And when you go to Microsoft Outlook, let's see if we got the video here. Nah, let's see. I think it's right here. Is this it? Nope, 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 nope. All right, 1 second. I know this joke here somewhere. All right, here we go. So then next up, I'm going to go to Microsoft 365 Business Solutions, and I'm going to purchase a business standard account. You want to get a business standard account because that's how you're going to be able to connect your email with Microsoft Outlook Office to the domain name you just purchased. And again, I'm not going to go into too much depth. I'm just kind of showing you these steps. If you get stuck on any of these steps, feel free to reach out to me. So there it goes. Microsoft 365 Business Standards is $12.50 a month. You go ahead and purchase it. You follow the steps. And then eventually you have a professional business virtual office with Outlook, with SharePoint, with a bunch of other resources that Microsoft offers for you. So again, when they say enter your email, you haven't connected your Ramadi Days domain, you haven't connected your recently purchased domain name to your Outlook yet. So you're going to give your personal non-professional email. So johndoe@gmail.com. All right. So now once you set up that account, let's see. Once you set up that account, you're going to go into your administrative panel. If you look up in the upper left-hand corner by the words Microsoft 365 Admin Center, you see this like 3x3 grid. That's called the waffle, or the waffle menu. When you click on that, you'll be able to get into your administrative center. Once you get into your administrative center, you're going to click Setup. And then Setup is going to take you through the steps of connecting your recently purchased domain name to your Outlook email. Once you accomplish that, you now have your professional email. And it's my advice that once you have your professional email, that's when you go ahead and start registering as a government vendor. Reason being, if you had a janitorial service if you had a concrete service for the last 12 years and you've been using johndoe@yahoo.com, that might be fine and well on a small business level for your clients that you've been working with. But remember, you're trying to get millions of dollars from the United States government. So if I'm a contracting officer and I'm looking at an email that's at Yahoo or at gmail.com, I'm not going to think that email is too safe. And more so, I'm not going to think that email is professional. So again, I encourage you guys to set up a professional email before you start creating these vendor accounts or vendor user accounts with the federal government and with your state municipalities. So now I got everything set up. I purchased my domain name. I purchased my Microsoft business account, and I went ahead and connected it to my Microsoft business account. Now I have a professional domain name. What's the next step? Next step is we're going to go to sam.gov. So you can type in sam.gov, which stands for systemawardmanagement.gov, into the browser. And once you type that in, it's going to bring you to the official federal government database for all of the vendors in the federal government. This site also gives you information on this site also gives you contracting information. So you'll be able to search contracts that have to do with your industry in this. But first thing you have to do is you have to create a user account. Just how we had to create a user account with Amazon Web Services, we have to create a user account with sam.gov. So you see, go to this page and I click login, ask me to agree that I'm using the site right. And now I can either sign in if I already have an account, or I can create an account. So my email's on the screen. I already have an account with sam.gov, so there's no need for me to really create a new account. I'm just, for the purposes of this instructional video, showing you guys that you should use a professional email when you're creating an account with sam.gov. Now, if you want to be a socio-economic specialty company with small business administration, you got to understand that small business administration is going to get all of your information from sam.gov. So if you want to be a woman-owned small business, if you want to be a service-disabled veteran-owned small business, sam.gov is going to be the point of entry for small business administration to check on what your company is doing. So that email is going to follow you. And again, you don't want a potential contracting officer looking at you and seeing John Doe or Jane Doe at outlook.com or at gmail.com. It's very unprofessional, and it diminishes your chances to win that contract. So as you can see, I got t.tour at yesrts.com. If I didn't, I would go ahead and create a new account. And same way as we did before, they're going to ask for my email, and then they're going to send a verification to my email. They send a verification to my email. Boom, I got an account. So the same thing I did with the federal government. See, again, I'm showing you, you're going to go ahead and put your email address in. Please, for the love of God, do not put it at Gmail or do not put it at Yahoo. Put something professional in there. I'm trying to tell you, it makes you look good to the person that potentially is giving you a lot of money. Because remember, this is someone that has to put their neck on the line and justify why they're giving you the amount of money for your products or services. And if you're trying to break out of micro business territory and go into small business, eventually large business, and at Yahoo and at Gmail is not going to cut it. So again, I created an account, and this is part one of the instructional period. So Friday, we're going to go into actually associating your company with the account you created. So we're done on the federal side. Now we're going to go down to the state side. And I'm using California as an example. So depending on the state that you're in, most states I'm going to say have a online portal for the state purchasing department. Okay. In California, the state purchasing department is called Department of General Services, DGS. And the way that DGS works is they have a website where, just like SAM, just like on the federal side, you create a user account with them. Once you create a user account with them, you enter in information, you associate your company with that information, and then you can also get additional certificates if you're a veteran business, if you're woman owned, depending on the state that you're in. In California, it's called caleprocure.com. And to find out what your state uses for procurement, type in your state. So if I'm in Michigan, Michigan state purchasing, or if I'm in Florida, Florida state purchasing, or if I'm in New York, New York state purchasing. Type that in and go with a .gov. Go with a .gov. Don't go with a .com. There's a lot of websites out there that will collect all the information from the state, and they'll repurpose it to make it look like they are the official account where you should be registering, where you should be sending information to. The reason that these websites do that is because they want to sell you products and services to be the middleman for your contracting. You don't have to do that. Go directly to the river to drink. You don't have to go through no middleman. All right, so here we go. Cal eProcure at ca.gov is how you get to the California State Purchasing Department, Department of General Services. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. See, it's a .gov, which is very important. Now, when I go ahead and click on that, it takes me to the Department of General Services Purchasing Department. I'm going to click login or register. You can see one of my clients is already in there. His user ID and everything is in there. But if not, I would click new bidder registration, and same thing as the federal side. I just follow the steps and then create an account. All right. So that's the end of the video today. Again, I don't like to beat y'all over the head. This information is meant to be disseminated in piecemeal, piecewise, to make sure that you can go and practice the steps. And if you get stuck, give me a call, drop me an email so I can walk you through it. Now, the next time we get together is going to be Friday. Those of you watching, those of you following along and utilizing these steps, hopefully you have a professional email name set up next time. You have a sam.gov user account, and you have a state equivalent user account. Once you have that, then we can go on to the next step, which is associating your company, your entity with your user account in sam.gov, and associating your company with the user account in your state. You got to do that because right now you have a user account, but the purchasing department and the federal purchasing department, they don't know what your company is. And that's a different step. Now, once we get our companies associated, then we can fill out the application to become a vendor with the federal government and with our state government. Again, y'all, my name is Theo Tor. I'm your Biz Dev Guru, giving you practical steps. Now is the time to be contracting with the government. Government spends 10 trillion plus a year purchasing products and services. 5% of that is set aside for small businesses. The government loves small businesses because the more small businesses there are, that's a healthier sign of the economy. More small businesses means more money circulating in the economy. That means more people having jobs. That means more people the government can tax. So again, share these videos, like, subscribe, share, follow me on all my socials. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. And if these are helping you out, let me know. Also, I'm open to suggestions on issues you guys want me to breach. I've been in this game for a long time. I've won millions from my clients, and I want to help you guys get into the game too, because I love small businesses and I love making our economy strong. All right.